What's up?
Yo,
What's
yo,
up? What's up?
yo.
I don't
Yo,
think
yo,
everyone-
yo.
anybody is watching yet.
We're live.
Chris.
Wow.
Still
No
saying
worries,
zero.
no worries. Let's just wait.
So welcome to another stream of Fixcolab behind the scene, Fixcolab BTS. I'm your host Fitri Joroji, and I have two very good-looking gentlemen with me today. As usual, we have Leeroy Shah Douglas. Say hello, Leeroy.
Hello.
And we have a new gentleman in the block, Yusry Harman.
Hello, assalamualaikum semuanya.
All right. So today we are gonna bring you guys something real cool. All right. So some of you guys who's your first time here, welcome. This is a show where we talk everything about what's in trend in terms of technology. We talk about our company. We talk about the lessons that we learn selling and servicing our clients. So for you guys who are new, who have not heard of Fixcolab basically is a software development company. We deal with mobile app, web app, and we also do websites. All right. So this is a show that we put together to kind of just, share our thoughts, share with you guys what we think, where the industry is heading, where the world is heading because of technology. And we've covered a lot of topics here. First few episodes, we talked about blockchain. Who on earth just sneezed, gentlemen?
God bless.
God bless that dude. God bless the dude.
So, where was I? Yes, we talked previous episodes. We talked about crypto. We talked about NFT. We talked about VR. We talked also about the history of Fixcolab. And today we are going to talk about something a little bit boring from my point of view, to be honest. But without this particular process, we wouldn't be able to be where we're at today. So, gentlemen, welcome. Welcome, Yusry. Welcome, Leeroy. How are you guys doing?
Good. Use. He said it's boring, use.
Yalah. Can just come out to that. Yep.
You
Hello,
gotta defend
everyone.
ourselves, bro.
Thank you for tuning in. Right.
So why don't we start? Well, people know me. People know Leeroy. We are the common faces of Fixcolab, but they have not known enough of you. So why don't you share to people a little bit about yourself and who is this Yusry guy? Go ahead.
Alrighty. Okay. Assalamualaikum. First of all, thank you very much for having me. Fixcolab BTS. First time. Whoa. Alrighty. Okay. So my name is Yusry. Currently the project manager at Fixcolab. So what I do on a daily basis is chase people, delegate things, assign tasks, get things done.
So clearly, you are not with me when we first started the company. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your previous background and how you end up with Fixcolab?
All right, so it's an interesting story, Okay, so back then, for you guys that don't know me, I was an engineering student. Okay, so previously I work as an engineer kat dalam geotechnical department. Okay, and then all of a sudden I'm here managing digital projects. Because of this guy.
You know what's cool? What I like about Yusri is he's the only guy in our Fixcolab team to actually have a published academic paper on something that is not related to software.
Yeah,
So smart
I published
guy,
a paper on concrete.
So
it was my final year project. Yep.
Why? What made you take the lead from what you were doing to jumping into software development, managing software development projects?
Interesting question. Okay, so first of all, I would say I'm just like the typical guys out there, I wanted to do something else. Even though I can do engineering, but I feel like I wanted to do something else. But when we were younger, at that point of time, kita tak tahu what is best for us, right?
We're still young, bro.
We're still young.
We're still young, bro. We're still young.
We're still young. Okay, we're still young. Yeah. So I've always wanted to do something else, but then it's not an easy adventure. Coming from a small town here, Miri Sarawak, everybody is working in oil and gas and stuff, engineering stuff, a lot of engineering stuff. So to make that decision is not easy. So what happened was I was working in Kuching in a geotechnical department. So
What
I
were you doing there?
Okay, what was I doing there? Okay, so I calculate the strength of the soil. You design road. Yeah, you design the curvature for the road, speed limit for the road. So mainly road and highway lah. Yeah. And
So
then
were you managing projects there?
no. I did not manage, but I was in the design team for the road. All right. So I would say managing is something that interests me lah, fascinates me a lot. Yeah, but then and if you work with corporate, it's not that easy for you to just jump in and then manage a project, right? You need a few years of experience. Yep. So what happened was back in 2000 what guys?
2019, bro.
2019.
2020.
Pre-COVID, I call it.
Yes. A long time ago, bro. Long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago. Yep. So I got a call from this dude, Fitri Doroji, and then this dude as well, Leeroy Shah. Then the first question they asked me like, "Kau mau pindah KL kah?" So that is in Sarawak language, right? But so what they asked was, "Are you ready to move to KL?" Right. So I was like, "What? What is happening here?" I just had fun with my company previously because we were celebrating Chinese New Year event, right? And then the next day I got a call. It's not the next day. It's the same day. That evening I got a call, right? Asking me if I'm ready to go to KL. So it was like, damn, this is hard, That one part of me was like, I really want to go, I really want to explore something else because I told you guys that I wanted to do something else, right? This is an opportunity. But then, dude, going out from engineering is not easy lah. It's not easy. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
And then so I joined Fitri, I joined Roy, and then Cairo.
As what though?
Started as a
Go on, Yus. That's what.
started as a digital marketer. Is it video editor / video editor? So
at
all
that
the
point,
video yang dekat website Artisan, this is the man.
Yep. including guys, including this bloody intro. Yep.
What an entrance! What an intro.
So some scenes that you see in that intro was our early days. We kept it because it reminds of how it all started. So here you are, an engineer who had an academic paper published in an engineering field and decided to leave that path, jump on something that's completely new as a videographer. And then, long story short, guys, how Yusry ended up becoming project manager is because when we first few years of the company, we stayed together, right? We rented an area where we get to work. Yep, we get to work with each other. So Yusry has always been a guy who always keep everything in check, from how clean his room is, and whether the place has food or not, whether we have enough supplies, so on and so forth. And we were at a point where the company was expanding rapidly, and to hold everybody together. Just imagine we went from 5 to over 15 people in a span of less than 3 months. And obviously, with this rapid expansion, we had a lot of miscommunication. Things kind of just grew too fast, too quickly. And on the project side of things, we knew we had to, get somebody who set the standard of how things are done, set the standard of how things should be in order for us to be able to deliver to our clients. So we decided that Yusri was the perfect candidate who showed this, uh, 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 this character, and then on that basis, the management decided, hey, okay, let just you be our project manager, right? So that was how Yus ended up becoming a project manager. So I want to know, Yus,
Yep.
what are the challenges? I mean, obviously, the title of this project, this episode, is managing six-figure projects, right? So
Yep.
obviously, managing projects at this scale, it's not something. It's not a university work. Let me be honest, right? You
Definitely.
cannot do
Yep.
things last minute. You have to pre-plan. You have to structure the resources. So, from your point of view, what are the main challenges that you face when it comes to managing this sort of projects?
All right. So interesting question. Okay. For project management, I can say there's a lot of challenges lah. But the biggest challenge that I feel, yang that causing me a lot of headache, right, is to get everybody on the same page. Don't you think so? Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
because
Agree.
when we were expanding like from 3 to 16, things are going fast, a lot of projects and stuff. So the communication between all of these people sangat-sangat penting lah. So I feel like throughout this journey as a project manager, the biggest challenge I would say is keeping people on the same page, because that is the key lah for project management. If you ask me, if everybody is on the same page, then everything can run smoothly lah, I believe.
So, were people on the same page when we start embarking on all these big projects?
We were on the same page, but at different lines a little bit.
Right. So, talk to
Different
me.
paragraph.
Talk to me about how you get everybody on the same page. Because
Yeah, so-
because let me just add on to that, guys. A lot of times when we first got together, right? People, there's different stage of growth in company. You start off as a startup where you do the majority of things. There's not much structure. You can just wing everything as you go, but like there will come a point where you would start to delegate things. Things have to be structured. There will be standard operating procedures which you have to follow, right? So
Exactly.
when we expanded too fast, too quickly, we knew that what will hold things together is a strict adherence to the SOP, right? That every time things fall off and things don't go the way we want to go, we know that it's because somebody in somehow didn't go through the SOP, and that's me included, because you guys know me, how I love to just let's not go through that, just do this. And talk to me about, yes, how do you convince people that, hey guys, we have to follow the SOP? We have a lot of people. To some of you guys, this may not be a lot, but how do you get all these 15 heads to agree on one thing, to work together to deliver?
All right. So I think personally, I believe that I'm very grateful because our team is very understanding lah. When we try to do something, we implement something, then we will try our best to follow the SOP created, right? I think in implementing SOP, right? First thing that we want to remind ourselves is that when you first create an SOP, it will not work smoothly for you. Betul tak? right? So mesti ada error here and there because to me, I believe it is a continuous improvement punya thingy, right? Right? To a point yang sampailah a point that you reach the you know the middle ground, then you feel okay, this is right for now. Yeah. So I think part of implementing SOP is basically you need to clearly define the why. The why we need this SOP. Dalam belajar in learning, there are a few ways of learning, right? It's either after you mess up or you realize before you mess up lah, right? So there are many ways to learn, right? So when we want to implement SOP, we need to make sure yang semua faham kenapa we need this, right? If we did not adhere to this SOP, what will happen, right? I think painting the visual, the gambaran, the bigger picture for these people will help lah, right? So I'm really grateful that when in Fixcolab, because everybody is under the same mindset, right? It's just that different ways of working. So when we created the SOP, everybody will try their best to really adhere to the SOP lah, right? So for the ones out there, for you guys out there, if you guys like trouble, implementing SOP, it is important, right? But there are some people macam susah nak follow the SOP is because they don't see the why. So if you make the why clear enough for them to see and for them to digest, inshallah it will be good lah. If you ask me.
Yeah.
Yep. Does that answer your question?
Yep. So get everybody to believe in the why before implementing new SOP. Otherwise, you will not get the buy-in from everybody.
Right. Yeah, there are other ways as well, but yeah. You want me to share about it?
Go ahead, man.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's one way. Make people understand the why, right? Second thing is, this is what we implement in our company again, in our team. What can we do for the people so that they can follow the SOP, So this is like two-way communication, it's two-way thingy. You want people to follow your SOP, but then what do you do for them? So what can you do to incentivize? So that's one thing to think about when you're implementing new thing, because let's face it, implementing new thing is not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot of way you can implement it. So let's just recap. The first one is tell the why. Yeah. Second one is what, right? Tell me.
Second one is what you can give. What you can give to the other people.
Let me hide the banner. Let me hide the banner. Okay. What is the second one, Roy?
Second one is give something to the people so that they can follow the SOP. I mean, I get that very, very, very well, because from my side, it's the business team. We are the ones that meet the client. So we sometimes we say a little bit too much. Sometimes. Well, it's the business team, bro. You gotta sell, right? Yep. So that could cause friction between the business team and the operation team. But then use has been a very, very, very great, I would say, a bridge between all these different departments in this whole company. He was the one who dived deep into all these different departments and understanding how the way we works, because every department has their own way of working. Development has their own way of doing things. Business have their own way of doing things. Designers have their own way of doing things. Marketers have different ways of, for them of doing things. So, yeah, and we understood that if we want others to follow the way, if we want others to follow SOP, and you know, we have to do something that make it easier for them to follow our way, and they also have to give something that makes it easy for me, for the business team, for us to follow their way as well. So yeah, that's has been the way we've been working uh, in a good synergy between all of us. So yeah.
Yep.
Right. So now you mentioned this, it brought me back to our early days where, you know, as a business, we tend to like Leroy said, over promise things because, you know, we just want to get the deal. And 9 times out of 10, the friction will happen once we realize that this is something that is not doable by obviously the resources that we have. So, Roy, talk to me about why, like, where do we find the middle ground between, you know, obviously as a salesperson, you want to have some sort of offer that is better than the other competitor or the other person, but how do you draw the line between what's over promising and what's okay, we can still stretch for this?
Yeah, well, the first thing that is very, very important is the understanding of how our team of developers and designers, how they do things. And, you know, um, well, you also have to understand a bit of fundamentals on coding, on UI, on UX, so that whatever that you're saying to the clients, to the lead, is not something that's misleading. It's not something that we can't actually do. Can't actually do, in my opinion. You know, and uh, having a product knowledge, a good basic understanding of how system works. Let's say we want to build an app, so we have to understand how an app works. You know, that
True.
so that is the how do I say it? That is the arsenal. That is the arsenal for us, the sales guy, when we want to go out and sell things. Because let's face it, like sometimes you want to overpromise everything and say yes to everything. That is not realistic, right? Imagine you want to have an app that can do food delivery, and then an app that can, I don't know how, but orders a robot to cook food for you. I don't know if that's a good idea for an app or not, but maybe we can take a look into this app in the future. But you get what I'm saying, right? And then also whenever this okay, this is one thing that I find very, very useful. Every single time after we meet client, every single time we have a conversation with our clients, with the leads, we need to record the conversation. That is very, very important. We need to record the conversation. Why? Because the sales guy might interpret information differently. Designers might interpret things differently. Developers might interpret things differently. So what, the information in that particular conversation has to be, number one, as raw as possible. You don't have to rephrase things in your own words, for us to minimize, sort of biasness. Everyone has their bias. That's one. And then, yeah, once we have that piece of information recorded as raw as possible, then we have a briefing with Yusry. So every single time, back then, when I want to brief use on new leads, there's this voice inside of me. What if yous don't agree with this? What am I gonna say to the client? You know, what if this is actually something that's not doable? What am I going to say to the client? So yeah, and yeah, sometimes operations says that this can't be done, and I, sales guy, then will have to think sort of like another workaround on how we want to get this particular thing to be done. You get what I mean? And I think that is why for sales guys, for the business team, you need to have that basic fundamentals of UI UX, development, programming, and stuff, so that you also can sort of like figure out a solution or a workaround that would help designers and developers to see something from different perspective. You get what I mean?
Yep. And
Yeah.
one
Sure,
thing,
bro.
I want to add on here is you guys understand that clients, I mean, as someone who want a tech product, 9 times out of 10 we want the final version of things. They say we want a car, that could also, that has a heater, that has a massage chair, that has an auto driving. You have to understand everybody wants that by default. So it's your task to set the expectations right. Why I want to
That's
share this is because initially when you first start, the problem that you might run through is you want to because you want to deal so much, you will over promise the expectations. There's a difference between over promise and over promise the expectation. Over promising the expectation is where you tell people that, hey, we'll throw in this so that you have the best version of things. But in reality, if you have not built products or tech products before, you know that it's not as simple as writing a Word document and the next thing you know, the whole thing just appears there.
Definitely, dude.
A good example, a good analogy here is that programmers are like the modern day builders, architect, where they have to really figure out, okay, how best to build this building. And obviously, that's where Yusry comes in, where he has to lay out the plan. And now that he has this, once the architect has the building, the architect will also have to understand, okay, what if by the time I want to build it, there's an earthquake, meaning that there is an unforeseen circumstances. How do I go around that?
stop the earth from
So,
shaking, bro.
so as
We
as
have
as
geotechnical dude here.
as the sales from the sales and business development point of view, you have to be able to set the expectations right. So how do you do this? When clients say, I want this, you constantly have to remind them, yes, that is obviously doable, but let's take it progressively.
That's
We haven't put the chassis of the car yet, and you're already talking about having a massage chair. It's exciting to have these conversations, but little did you know that the more you buy into that, the more you say yes, the more you promise that you're going to deliver this, the more you put yourself in a quicksand. So now, this is how it works back then all the time. When we come to meeting the client, the conversation is amazing. We're going to do this. Everybody gets hyped. We high five everybody, say we're going to change the world together. And then by the time we brief our operation team about this, I will see you three turn red within a few seconds.
How
So,
are we gonna do it?
so that's key there, guys. Always tell them that this is actually a future paced thing. Yes, we can do it, but once we get the first few things done, that's critical there. Now I want to go back to you, Sri. If
Yep.
you could tell aspiring project managers out there how to get in project management, how to, get their hands in it, what should they do? Should they read a book or
Um.
should they take a course? Because correct me if I'm wrong, there's actually a legit course, there's actually a legit certification when it comes to project management.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
how would you advise
Ada
these people?
PMI. Yeah. So I mean, as for me, okay, me myself is not project management punya background, right? So I did learn project management, but just certain part of it. And then I believe that if you want to make things easier for you, it's really important for you to know how things work. Just like what Roy mentioned, So it doesn't have to be like 100%. You don't need to know 100% how things work, but at least you need to have that basic knowledge of how maybe creating a website. What are the phases in developing a website? How many people are you going to engage with? And then, I mean, this whole thing, if you ask me, you can easily find it in YouTube, right? But yes. So you can learn from YouTube, but then because I feel like in order to exceed in anything, like in anything you do, not just project management, I believe that you need to understand the concept first. So start asking yourself, like, okay, how this thing work? Say that, okay, in website development we have a lot of things. We have design, development, integration, and stuff. Okay, so say that the client requested to integrate something. Obviously you don't know, but if you know the basic concept of how these developers do their job, you can some sort of imagine and plan ahead. Maybe not the exact steps, but you roughly know what to do. So what I can say is take some time, and if you want to read a book, up to you. If you want to watch YouTube videos, up to you. There's a lot of resources out there, but the thing is, just try to understand how things work. Yeah. And
Probably.
maybe sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah. So let's take drawing cartoon, for example. You can just, to understand how things work, you just need to know, okay, what do I need first? Like that. Okay. And then try to connect the dots, if you ask me. Yeah. Obviously it's not easy, but if you have that basic concept of how things work, it's gonna help you a lot. That's what I believe.
Wouldn't that also brings me to the next point, is that you also have to understand the capacity or the capabilities of your resources, because there are a lot of architects out there who can draw good plans, who can render good building, but it's always a case of when they show it to a contractor or people can build it, they will tell them, no, it's very difficult to build. We can't build this. It's structurally not possible to build something like this.
Yeah.
So how would you rate the importance of understanding your team's capacity?
Okay, so say that you have a team, right? Now, say that you have your own designers. So what you can do is, what you can do to understand your team capacity is basically, okay, the first two projects, maybe you wouldn't know, how long would it take for this designer to design this and that, and then after a couple of projects, you can some sort of measure, apa dia punya speed, how he do his job, and then in that context, in that situation, when the design is not accepted by the contractors, right? Personally, I believe for the designer, it's as a project manager, I think it's best to bring the designer as well when we deal with the contractors, so that designer can gain that experience and listen to the comment firsthand, because things like this, I believe, it is gained based on it by experience, by time. Yeah.
And what would you say your biggest lesson learned when it comes to managing projects?
Yeah. Okay. So my biggest lesson is managing
Don't work with Fitri and Leeroy.
These guys are good. These guys are good.
Thanks.
I think it's the biggest lesson so far 2021 is developing a system is not easy. Website is still okay, but a system, when we talk about a system, it has a lot of logic, So it's not easy to develop a system. So like I mentioned just now, to understand how things work, right? So if you want to understand how system works, you have to betul-betul do it lah. You have to understand what is important for the developers, and then ask them why. Like, okay, if you cannot do this, like within this stipulated time frame, why you cannot do it, right? There must be a reason. You need to understand because designers' perspective is not the same as the developers, right? Macam yang Roy cakap tadi, everybody has their way of working, right? So what they see is different from a little bit different from what designers see. Designers is design, but if a designer can think of the logic of how the design works, kau better hire the designer lah.
Right. So what I'm getting here is what I see from what you tell me is that at the end of the day, the main task of the project manager is to make sure every single resource are aware, everybody is on the same level when it comes to understanding of the requirement, and everybody understand each other's capacity.
Yep.
And then it's your task to actually push them when they face roadblocks. It's your task to figure out, okay, if they cannot do it, what's the alternative?
Yep.
And how do you present that to the client? What what we call it fail over proposal. Like if the main proposal fails, what's the alternative?
Exactly.
But it all eventually revolves in your ability to communicate with different type of people. So does that make you a better communicator over time?
Yeah, definitely, dude. I feel like I'm proud of myself right now.
Like what changed? Like what? Because one thing. Sorry to interrupt there. Like a lot of guys. Well, I can tell you, being an agency, obviously you deal with a lot of uncertainty, right? Because a lot of times the things that you do are not the same thing. It's unique. Every project brings its own challenges, and every challenges requires a different side of you, right? I know you. I mean, we've been friends for the longest time, and I've seen you grow, right? Character, obviously, but physical, the side effect of being too stressed. Yeah, but what are the main what are the main thing that you notice change about your personality now that you definitely dealt with a lot of people. Being a project manager, it requires you to deal with internal, external, the management. So what has changed the most other than the color of your hair?
Don't mention that. Okay, so I think that what the biggest, I would say, achievement is to be able to manage my how to say
Emotions.
Emotion, yeah. Yeah, because I mean we have to deal with a lot of people. You have to deal with internal team, you have to deal with client, and then for you guys you have to deal with external like leads or whatever, right? So different people has different perspective, different way of communicating, different way of how they show their face, are they smiling or not, so it's different. So I think the best part of being best part that project management has taught me lah, since that, or being in this company taught me, is to be able to understand, to be able to understand, like if they say something cannot be done, like we need to understand and ask why, So I think what there's a lot of improvement, like if you ask me. I sorry, I'm bragging, right? So
Go on, bro. Go
I feel like
on.
I'm more
It's your
confident right
spotlight, man.
now. Yeah, I feel like I'm more confident, and then I know like how to how to navigate through things, not being very reactive, because the old me I will be very, very reactive, dude. It was just straight no. If you ask me to do something, it was just like no, right? So when you deal with a lot of people, you see a lot of characters and stuff. You understand that it's not not to say not a good thing, but you don't have to be super reactive, lah. So every problem there must be a solution. You know, so you just have to stay calm. And then communicate more with people. I think that side of me a lot of uh, uh, a lot has improved lah. If you ask me, in terms of communicating, dealing with these people and stuff.
Now, what I like about how you approach things now is that I like the fact that okay, even if today you can't solve the problem, you have this attitude that it's fine. I'll come back tomorrow. I have a different perspective towards solving the problem. And this is something that a lot more people, in my opinion, have to hear. That just look at. I mean, I tell these guys all the time, the inventors of all these great technologies in the history of mankind. It doesn't take them a day to figure out something, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
We hear we hear stories of these guys trying over and over and over again for over 10, 15, 20 years before they finally figured things. And this thing now become one of the greatest invention that the world has ever encountered.
Yep.
And I want to just now you mentioned that not being able to be reactive towards people, that is also key, because a lot of times we fail to see that okay, the person is okay. Let's say if I speak to Leeroy today and all of a sudden I get this negative vibe that Leeroy is not, the way he talks to me is kind of rude, he's not super attentive to me, he's distracted. If you're not able to detach yourself from there, you will end up reacting to him reacting to you, if that makes sense. And 9 times out of 10, that doesn't do any good other than putting more stress on you. But if you can detach and tell yourself that, hey, probably, he had diarrhea the whole day and hadn't had enough sleep. Probably something happened outside of our knowledge that spoils his mood. And you being able to detach from that, you being able to accept the fact that okay, maybe it's not his day, will save you a lot of sanity, so to
Energy.
speak. Correct. And when you operate, this is the beautiful thing about life, guys. When you operate from a place of okay, this is how they're reacting, it's fine, it gives you a third eye. It gives you a third eye that constantly give an upper advantage when it comes to solving problems. Because a lot of times when you see a problem, you will see it from one point of view as only. And that point of view will say that, hey, I can't solve it like this. If you have that third eye that you've trained, you'll be able to actually have a different view of the problem. And once you have a different view of the problem, you'll be able to, like every other gentleman, every other people who managed to figure the complexity of mankind, they found a solution. And that's the beauty about being in the tech industry. You're constantly faced with challenges where, hey, okay, we face a roadblock and let's try to solve it. And 9 times out of 10, I tell you guys that we've been there. There are those days where it took us 2 weeks to just figure out one small problem, right? But obviously, the first that period of 2 weeks, you'll be the most stressed person on planet. But the moment you figure it out, the third eye just I'm not talking some Illuminati stuff here, but I'm talking about this ability for you to see from a different perspective. And if you know it, perspective is always everything, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Like it's, if you cannot go straight, then go around it like that, you know?
It's like when you want to tell someone that, hey, 1 + 1 is 3, instead of you reacting that no, that's not right, it's 2. But this third eye will be like, what is going on with his way of thinking? Like, I wonder how he thinks. You know. So from that point, I mean, from that question, you sort of like, okay, now I think what I want to do is probably ask him this follow-up question instead of just nope, it's 2. And my next follow-up question will be, is this dude crazy or what? No, I'm just kidding.
So now he has
Yeah.
problems. Mental
Yeah.
sickness, man.
So why don't you elaborate on that, Roy? Because you have this ability to, when somebody gives you a statement that clearly is that clearly challenge how we view things, but you've always been able to actually get to the root cause of why they say so. And when you point that out, 9 times out of 10, it seems that you have this third, not third eye, a second brain that are able to convince them to, hey, let's meet in the middle ground. So what is this thing that you deploy? Is it a trick? Is it something that you learn over time? So let's imagine that okay, you tell someone, okay, we're gonna build an app where when I click this button, uh, I don't know, food will just appear in front of me. Then once you speak to Yusry, he turns red and he say, Roy, are you nuts? So you have to go back to the client and tell them that it's not doable. And they say, no, I still want you to figure it out.
Yeah.
So how would you
So
handle him?
so there has to be a reason why this client wants, that feature where you click a button and then food just appear in front of you. You don't go to them and saying, hey, my operation guy just said that you're nuts and I think you are nuts. No, you don't do that. But everyone has a reason, like, and then we want to find out that reason. Usually when it comes to reasoning, um, asking why sometimes not the best question. Sometimes a why can get the other side to put their guard out. Like, how people get mad at us and then they go, why did you do that? Or why do you know so instead of asking why, I think the key thing here is to understand where the other guy comes from. you know so the best way I found all this while is to always start a question with how. Let's say, like, how do you think this feature, clicking the button, food will appear, is going to help the business? Or how do you think we can do that? you know I mean, food is physical. You want it to appear right away once you click the button. That's not, we don't see how. And then when, how is a very good question for me, because how, number one, when you ask someone how, it makes them feel like they're smart. Okay, this guy coming to me, he wants to know how I do it. you know that's one. So yeah, it's always about understanding the way the other side thinks. It's always about understanding how they can come up with that conclusion. It's not why they come up with that conclusion. Why is sort of like, just, hey, why do you want it? Yeah, because I want it. Because the other apps doesn't have that, and I want that. you know and sometimes that answer is not logical. So understanding how they think, their thinking process, will definitely bring us further ahead in this any kind of negotiation deals or conversation. Because other than asking how, feeling making them feeling smart, it sort of like gives you the opportunity where you can hear more and more and more from this dude. And when they start talking and how I want this to be like this is how I think it can be like this, blah 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 blah, and all that, they will feel like we hear them. You get what I mean? Instead of just asking, instead of just challenging their ideas.
And
We
how
are
do
not
people
here.
react? How do people react when people challenge the idea?
Oh, defensive, bro. That's it's not good to challenge the other guys when you have a conversation or discussion, because you're gonna be wasting time. That's one. Emotions gonna start kicking in. That's two. Three, you're scratching someone's ego, and we know ego is the worst enemy of all. It's not a very collaborative conversation if we're challenging each other, because everyone wants to prove their point. Everyone becomes defensive, so people are not open to listening. Where the key thing is to be actively listening. And how we want to get to that actively listening is by trying to understand the how. Why is strong? Uh, like you got to understand the why. You got to understand the why. Doesn't mean that you ask why. How do you understand the why? And that really and one thing that I found, asking the question how, it sort of like opens, it helps you to see in different perspective very very quick and easily. And you get to be able to understand the other side. But understanding the other side doesn't mean that you agree with them, right? You understand them, you understand how they can get to that, but it doesn't mean that you have to agree with them. So rather than you asking why and attacking and then telling that I don't agree with you, approach it like, how did you come up with this? I want to understand the process. Then it's a lot easier for us to put in our opinion, because now it's a very collaborative conversation. No one is defending anything. Guts are low, people are open to talk more. So that's I think how is a very strong question. I am a strong believer in the question of how.
Right. So Leeroy is the Mr. How in the company. Every time we ask something, he would throw those questions to you guys. But this is an interesting segment where I think we will have a separate session with Leroy, just picking his brain, like how does he deploy all this how, and that's just one of the things that he taught us in the company, guys. There's a lot of other things on psychology, on conversation, because 9 times out of 10 when we first start, a lot of it has to do with how we communicate things. And as you fix your communication, as you speak, as you fix your presentation, things just happens. And we'll set a separate session for that. Gentlemen, we are running out of time. For people who are watching, thank you so much. Yusri, where can I find you other than on on Fixcolab?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Facebook, Yusry Harman, LinkedIn,
Mary,
Yusry Harman, Miri Sarawak, currently Miri,
Yusri Harman.
Yusry Harman.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay, Yusri, I'm gonna
yep,
put you out. Thank you so much,
my
and
pleasure.
we will have more sessions like this. And yeah, dude, thanks for taking a time out of your day to talk to us about project management. I hope you guys who are watching benefit from it. If you guys like what you guys are hearing, if you guys have ideas, or if you guys have topics that you guys wanted to, provide our input on, feel free to comment during the show or comment in the past show. We will take note of that and we will make more videos, guys. So that's it from us on this episode. That is it from me. That's it from Yusry. That's it from Leeroy.
Yep.
We gotta go, guys, and we
Alrighty.
will catch up with you guys soon. Before that, guys, I'll show you guys one cool thing.
What's that? What's that?
Let me just pull this cool thing.
Whoa.
Wait. What are you doing?
Give me a second. I'm in
Yo,
the
you
metaverse,
got it.
everybody.
Oh,
metaverse.
dude, you gotta enlarge your
This
screen,
is-
bro. You gotta.
So how do you do that? Solo
I mean,
layout.
yes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am in today's news. So enough of this. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you
Thank
guys
you very
soon.
much.
Till next time. Bye bye.